So, good evening everyone. In this video, I am going to discuss particularly important points in New Drugs and Clinical Trial Rules 2019. So, first point is, as you all know, if we are going to manufacture, import, distribute, or sale of drugs in India, we have to follow the Schedule Y. Now, this Schedule Y is completely replaced by New Drugs and Clinical Trial Rules 2019. So, now we have to follow not the Schedule Y, we have to follow New Drugs and Clinical Trial Rules if we are going to manufacture, import, sale, distribute the drugs in India. However, this Schedule Y is still applicable for the veterinary drugs. Some changes or some definitions more clarified in New Drugs and Clinical Trial Rule, and these are like New Chemical Entity (NCE). Now it's defined as any substance not approved as a drug in any country and for first time proposed to be developed as a new drug. So that we have to consider as a new chemical entity. Another definition which is more clarified in New Drugs Clinical Trial Rule is about the new drug. In new drug is we have to consider if there is a modified or a substance release form of a drug or novel drug delivery system of any drug which is approved by CLA, Central Licensing Authority. So that we have to consider as new drug. As you know, pharmaceutics people are doing work on the formulations. They are making the formulation of existing drugs to improve the bioavailability. So that we have to consider a new drug. If there is a new formulation, new drug delivery system, that is considered as a new drug. Another changes which has been done is regarding the orphan drug. Now, orphan drug is a drug intended to treat a condition which affect less than 5 lakh persons in India. So, it's a new consideration in new clinical trial regulations about the orphan drug, and there is a provision for accelerated approval for the orphan drug. Another things which are considered in new clinical trial rule is about the ethics committee. Now there is a requirement of minimum 50% of members must be from outside the institute. In institutional ethics committee, earlier there is a not such requirement, and ethics committee should be registered with SEDESCO. Registration is now valid for 5 years. Earlier it's for 3 years. And you have to provide training to ethics committee member time to time. If not trained, they can be disqualified also. And there is another point regarding independent ethics committee. This you can use within the 50 kilometer of clinical trial sites. Suppose you want to do a trial on a humans, but you have all the facility, but you don't have a ethics committee in your institute, so you can use the independent ethics committee, but that ethics committee should be within the 50 kilometers of clinical trial sites, approximately 50 kilometers, plus minus is there, depending upon the case to case. Another is VHR in new clinical trial rule and regulation. Consider if there is a in vitro diagnostic, new surgical intervention, public health survey, epidemiological studies or observational studies, that is considered under VHR. There is another point which is in new clinical trial regulation is new timelines for the applications of IND, and in case of clinical trial as per new drugs and clinical trial rule, permissions, rejections or any query, regulatory authority has to send to the sponsor or submitting the personnel within 30 working days. Now it's a fixed timeline. If suppose you have submitted your application to regulatory authorities and within 13 days you have not get any response from the regulatory authority, so it will be considered as a deemed approval. If no reply in 30 working days. But condition is there. Yeah, it's not like that you have submitted and you didn't get any response and immediately you have started your trial. No, to when you are going to start a trial, your applicant has to inform the CLA, Central Licensing Authority, about the initiation. So these changes have been done to speed up the process of clinical trial in new clinical trial regulations. Another changes in new clinical trial regulations regarding clinical trial waivers. Clinical trial in India are not required in special cases. The cases are suppose the company has done any global clinical trial and India is the one of the participating country. So in that case, there is no need to do the trial again, but there are some conditions. Conditions are you have to see if there is no difference in the enzymes, genes involved in the metabolism, etc. in different populations. So there is no need to do the trial again. So, but again, when you have to submit the application, and regulatory authority will analyze and tell you whether there is a required to do a clinical trial or not. So that is also a good thing. Phase 4, or particularly for the life-threatening disease, is not required, but again it depends upon case to case. The reason is for life-threatening diseases, maybe the population is very less. So in phase 4 clinical trial, that is particularly the pharmacovigilance studies, cases might be less. So, but again it depends upon case to case. But it can be waived off, particularly in the life-threatening conditions, as per new clinical trial rules regulations. Another point is regarding if suppose you have any molecule and it is showing a remarkable efficacy in phase 2 clinical trial, so you can get a market approval if that molecule is you are going to develop for a life-threatening disease and for that particular disease there is no alternative is available in the market. So all these factors you have to study and you can market your molecule on the basis of phase 2 clinical trial. But there are again conditions are there. But it's also good. It will speed up the drug development process and as well as the patients will get a new chemical entity who is showing the good efficacy within a time period. Right? So these are the all about some points which I have discussed about new clinical trial regulations. In next video, I will discuss about another important points in these new regulations. Thank you very much.